Harvey Norman. Everything you need in electrical, technology, furniture and bedding. Shop in-store and online today.
"2021 has been a hell of a ride. It's been a year of perpetual and relentless questions for all of us. Ones we never thought we'd have to ask, like, am I able to leave the house? When will the border madness end? Will this wretched pandemic finally go away? After turning our universe on its head and uprooting almost every skerrick of normality. But if, like me, you're a parent or one of the millions of grandparents around the country, this question goes a lot deeper. The past 2 years have been filled with a sense of uneasiness about what's to come for our young ones. Will they be able to march through the adversity of this pandemic-laden world? Will they take the chaos and curveballs in their stride? Well, if the Penfold sisters are any indication, they'll be just fine. Meet Bonnie, who's 23, Molly, who's 21, Jemima, who's 19, and Matilda, who's 17. Together they run their 150-day grain-fed premium black Angus business, Four Daughters, all on their mum and dad's farm in the Western Downs region of Queensland.
Our main business is feeding cattle. We have 2 feedlots. We also have a branded beef product called Four Daughters, which we export.
Originally their intention was to sell beef to Wuhan, but the pandemic and China's trade suspension, well, that put them in a big hole. But these girls adapted.
Once there was a trade issue with the abattoirs in China, we were sort of forced to diversify because we had all these bodies that we had to do something with. So they're in the feedlot and you could only feed them for so long. We couldn't keep feeding them forever. So we pivoted and worked towards doing more of a domestic product with our export product that we'd developed. So we transformed our brand into something that would suit the domestic market a little bit more, and we began delivering our pink boxes, which use the natural fall of the animal. So we were able to get use of all cuts of the beast and also educate city people as well at the same time about where their food comes from, and that a cow's not all T-bones, much to many people's dismay, but there's lots of other parts you have to eat.
As their brand started to kick off, the girls were selling beef boxes including the whole animal, so no part is wasted. This while educating consumers about what they were eating. A pandemic-induced necessity was the mother of their invention.
So after China suspended the market, we started selling our 150-day black Angus in the pink boxes with cuts as the rump steak, the roast, diced beef, sausages, mince, just so we could sell it somewhere and families get to eat it. When trade got suspended with China, it really threw a spanner in the works of our business. We were just starting to build up our numbers to the export, and we were really starting to create a good connection with our customer in China. And so when we had to change, we really had to think about how we could use the product that we already had and market it towards Australian consumers. And we're such family-orientated people, we thought that we would try and sell it to families from our families.
Yeah, well, that's good.
And the genius of it all hasn't gone unnoticed, with the Penfold sisters nominated as finalists in the Shine Awards, supported by our mates at Harvey Norman. The awards look to shine a light on the passion, grit, grace and courage of women across rural Australia. And by crikey, these girls have got it in droves.
It was pretty cool being nominated for the Shine Award. You wouldn't think we'd be nominated, so it was just amazing that we are.
Yeah, it was definitely a big surprise finding out that we'd been nominated for a Shine Award, but also yeah, definitely a great honour to know that city people or the readers of these articles are really enjoying and making connections with what we do.
They hope that through the Shine Awards nomination, they can do a couple of things. 1, give us city folk some insight into farming life. Number 2, show little girls that farming is for them. And number 3, teach us all that life will throw its obstacles, but they are obstacles that you can deal with and soar through to better days.
Just remember that you can do anything that you want to do. It doesn't matter what other people tell you. It's totally up to you, and work smarter, not harder. So there's plenty of things we can't do muscle-wise or, not strong enough, but there's so many ways around it, you know, use machinery, use other options, or work with others, then you build your strength by working smarter.
I think that the Shine Awards are brilliant. They don't know what they haven't seen. So I think that putting it out there for young people to see and be aware of is probably the first step in letting them know that it's an option and they can be in the rural industry and do very well for themselves.
How good are the Penfold sisters? They are absolutely deserving of their place in the Shine Awards. And talking about the awards, let's have a chat to the two ladies who made it happen, none other than Katie Page and Penny Fowler. Ladies, 2021 is the 5th anniversary of the Shine Awards. In your mind, has it changed its purpose over time?
So this is our 5th year of the Shine Awards. When Penny Fowler and I started this, it was always about the celebration of women in the bush, their contribution, and I've got to say that the growth that we've had on people now saying we have this fabulous woman or these fabulous girls that are really deserving of this award. So it's grown so much, and it's an absolute pleasure to be involved and for Harvey Norman to be involved. We have a lot of our complexes in country areas, so we know the issues over time that the country has experienced. If you go back 2-3 years ago, we had the worst drought ever. We then went into bushfires. We've now gone into COVID. And I think, you know, the really interesting thing about these Shine Awards, and each year as we have winners come through, it really reflects what's happening in the country, in the bush for that year.
We've stayed true to what we wanted to do, which is shine a light on rural and regional women around Australia. And these people are the backbone of our country, a lot of them, and they do such great work and there's such great stories that we just thought we'd keep on doing that. What we've done this year to celebrate our 5th, we've actually got a youth award, which is very exciting to actually be recognising younger women in rural and regional Australia for the first time. So no, the purpose is still the same, and it's a great partnership, you know, with Harvey Norman and the Weekly Times, which we amplify through the Australian all of our mastheads. So I'm delighted. I think it's a really it's growing every year, Paul. So it's exciting.
Now, of course, there's lots to moan about in the past 12 months, including a lot of people who aren't able to leave the country or maybe even the state. But it does mean that it feels like we've seen a lot more of our own country, of our own state in the past couple of years. Do you think, strangely, that COVID has brought the bush and city closer together?
COVID has done some really interesting things for the relationship between country and city people. I think it's quite obvious that you've had a lot of city people through COVID that have moved to the country. Now that there's hybrid working, that it gave them the opportunity to see how fabulous it was, not only to live there, but to bring their families up and to also still have that connection to city. So for these Shine Awards, I think it means even more this year because of what COVID's done. So for all the tragedy that we've had with COVID, there are so many positive things that have come out of it.
This year, the Shine Awards introduced a youth award to mark its 5th anniversary. And what is it about the Penfold sisters that we heard about earlier that particularly captured your attention?
Yeah, they are amazing. And guess what? I also brought, they happen to be on the front page of The Australian. So as you can see, there's a little photo there of them. It's a big photo actually that I'm holding up. And that's an amazing story. These young women, you know, going into Wuhan, trying to set their business up and then having to pivot, the new word, pivot, and redo their business and their business model and keep going. We've had some amazing feedback on that story already through The Australian today, with fantastic comments about, you know, what inspiring young women. Is it great to see in Australia that we have young people like that really making a difference, but also getting a business off the ground, working out ways to change and adapt to new times. So I just think it's a really great to have 4 sisters, the 4 daughters. I think it's such a great story, Paul.
When you see the 4 sisters that have won our Youth Award this year, aged from 17 to 23, and what they have done with the family farm through adversity, how they've had to pivot their business from beef going into China and then having that closed, and how they've gone to the community, to the greater Australian public to sell their product is just awe-inspiring, actually. And I love that photo of the four girls, so country, with their R.M. Williams hats on and their absolute passion for what they do.
Now, all the finalists are just amazing people. They've all done incredible things. And why do you think it is so important that they get the recognition and that also people get to hear these stories?
One of the key reasons that the Shine Awards are so important is it keeps that connection between city and country. I know I grew up in the country, but I live and work in the city, and you can lose track at times about the greatness of this country, and that we're made up of a lot of different things, but importantly what makes Australia unique is that country piece. It's the people in the country, it's that community, and I never want to lose that, and I never want Australia to lose that city to country connection.
I think it's really important that we go and explore our own country, and so I think that connection, one of the positives maybe out of COVID is that people are actually going and enjoying their own country more and connecting and going into these local communities and seeing what people do and what makes them tick. I mean, local stories and local communities are really the key to Australia, I think.
Now, Tasman Carvin is the overall winner of the Shine Awards in 2021. What was it about Tasman that stood out amongst an incredible collection of extraordinary women?
When I read Tamsin's story, and I'm sure you'll agree, through absolute adversity in her life, how important it was that her small community continued prior to COVID, but through COVID, as those people needed a general store, a place to meet, to keep going. Tamsin was there. Her vision was there. She never, ever at any point said, this is too hard. She wants to do great things in the future.
You should read her story, really. She was outstanding because she's been through some adversity as well, and she lives in a tiny little town, and she's really adapted to the environment and made the most of that opportunity of making her business and developing her and doing all that good in her community. So I think they're all standouts. It's really hard to judge these awards. Katie and I and the other judging panel, we sit there and we're like, oh my goodness, we could give it to so many people. But I think because she sort of has overcome some adversity as well, she really was a standout this year for us.